Hi, I'm Maureen O'Brien. This is the Sirens of Audio.
One day, you will subscribe. Yes, you will subscribe. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just click the notification bell and write us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. G'day audiophiles, this is the Sirens of Audio, the show that explores the universe of Doctor Who and other cult TV in the audio medium. I'm Dwayne.
I'm Philip. G'day Dwayne, g'day audiophiles.
G'day Philip, how are you going? I've heard you've had a busy last couple of hours.
Oh yes, we lots of planning. Many of you know I'm going over to the UK for about 6-7 weeks at the end of the year. And so starting to plan where we're going to go, where we're going to book houses for, planning shows, what shows we're going to see, who I'm going to meet up with. There's lots of Doctor Who people I'm meeting up with while I'm over there as well, so getting that all set up. So my family's sort of working out again, saying, oh, we can go to Hastings, and we could go, okay, who's in Hastings? Well, that's Matthew Waterhouse. Well, yeah, and then we'll go down to Canterbury. Oh, who's there? Well, that's Janet Fielding. And then we'll go across to, so yes, they've worked out the fact I'm planning my trip around, who I'm going to see while I'm there.
They're onto you, Philip. They're onto you.
They are on to me.
All right, well, today's going to be an excellent show, as always, because we're going to be featuring one of the latest releases from Big Finish. That is the Companion Chronicles box set, Families, and a couple of other things here and there. But we are going to be joined very shortly by the producer of that series, Dominic G. Martin. But first of all, before we get to Dom, Philip, I've noticed you've got a concerted effort to talk about not only our event in October with Carol Ann Ford, but the one in November is getting an extra push from you now.
Well, I just don't think I'd actually pushed at all the fact that in November we have Sally Nivette from Blake 7 coming out. And so I just wanted people to be aware that if you're into Doctor Who, in all likelihood, you would also be into Blake 7 if you realised. So either you already are into Blake 7 because you love Doctor Who or not. But of course, Big Finish has also done some amazing Blake 7 audios. In fact, some of their best audios, I think, are part of the Blake 7 range. Once again, the Companion, well, they're not called Companion Chronicles, they're called Liberator Chronicles originally, which all of those are just amazing because I love that Chronicle format that Big Finish does. And so all the original Big Finish, the Blake 7 stars did the Chronicles, and then they went into full series as well. And now they're doing the Worlds of Blake 7. Now they've unfortunately lost so many cast members. So, part of that, we had a long chat with Sally Nivette. She's just an amazing woman. She's so much fun, and she's keen to come to Australia. So in November, after seeing Carol Ann in October, a month later, you can see Sally Nivette from Blake 7. And for those of you who haven't got into Blake 7 yet, get it and see it. And the Blu-ray's out already for Season 1. Season 2 will be out by that stage, which will be all of Sally Nivette shows, and you will love them. So come along, meet Sally Nivette, and come to another event.
Yeah, I can tell you that the Series 1 Blu-ray set is excellent because we're on it.
Yes, so we got free copies because we're on it, which was very exciting, and nice to. I keep watching the credits with our names appearing, and I feel very special seeing my name appear in the credits there.
It's nice, isn't it? And we I've got to say that I love watching it with the new special effects, so that really takes it up a notch for me. So I know some people are purists; they like to stick to how it looked in the olden days, but I like those new special effects myself.
Yeah, some of those old special effects are still pretty stunning, considering Servalan's headquarter shots are still beautiful.
Absolutely.
Anywho,
all right. Well, with that said, shall we get on to the main topic of our podcast today, which is I'm going to jump you all down the rabbit hole very soon, and the Companion Chronicles is the topic that we're going to be talking about down the rabbit hole. But first of all, let's introduce our guest. He has been known as a cosplayer, as a writer, as a purple doctor, and as a producer for Big Finish now. It's Dominic G. Martin. G'day, Dom.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Dom.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. It's I've been wanting to talk with you for a while because I've been watching your journey progressing from fan to actually working in official Doctor Who. Even I still call Big Finish official Doctor Who.
So do the rest
Big
of
Finish
us.
is canon to me.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
so I'm one of those who go that deep. But I'm curious to know, where did your Doctor Who journey start? Everyone knows Philip and my journey from way back as a child. You're in your 30s now, but you would have been quite young, probably about a similar age to Philip and I when we first got into Doctor Who. Was that the same for you? How did it start for you?
Yes. So my little journey with Doctor Who, it started when I was about 10 years old. The first, it wasn't through conventional means, shall we say, where I didn't start with the Eccleston series. My mum actually introduced me to Doctor Who through UK Gold repeats of Trial of a Time Lord. So my first experience was with the Sixth Doctor and his Daleks, Sontaran, Cybermen speech. That's one of my earliest defining memories of Doctor Who. That's the first I ever saw it. I was just like,
that's cool.
Oh, I like him. I want to see more of him. Because I'd already been brought up on a lot of Star Trek than the original series and the Next Generation beforehand. So I already had a pretty firm grasp of liking sci-fi and all that jazz. So when it came to Doctor Who, it was just another string to add to the bow. I didn't realize that bow would become as all-encompassing as it has. But yeah, I really I needed to check more out. So of course, the Eccleston series came onto screens very soon after that. And I missed the first episode because we were on holiday, but I watched The End of the World on broadcast and seeing all those aliens coming out and with Cassandra, the Mox Balhoun, and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. I loved the Doctor and Rose. They had such an impact on me at the time. It just made the series just so very addictive. So immediately throughout the first series, I not only made sure that my sister got me did a little VHS recording of the first episode and was able to refresh my memory because of this. This was before iPlayer and all that. And then I went to my local library and got out as many Classic Who DVDs as I possibly could and binge watched the lot throughout the next several weeks because I was like, I need this. I need to learn this. It became quite a hyperfixation for me because I was homeschooled as well. So I obviously, by definition, I didn't go to school. I was taught by my mum. She did all of my schooling, and every time we had breaks, we'd watch an episode of Classic Who together and become acquainted that way throughout the weeks. And it was just such a lovely experience just watching through and being introduced to all these different doctors. Like I remember started with my first Hartnell one was the Aztecs. My first Tom Baker one, I believe, was I think I did start with Genesis, and yeah, it was just and Spearhead from Space for Pertwee as well. That I think Spearhead was the first Classic Who I indulged in when I started dipping into the DVDs. So yeah, I've developed a firm love of Pertwee and Colin ever since. And yeah, no, it's just been very slow and gradual. And then eventually, as time progressed, I got into the cosplay side of things by stealing bits from my parents' wardrobe and making a makeshift Fourth Doctor outfit. My mum had already made me a Tom Baker scarf, which was very, very long, as it should be. And I took that to my local convention, and I was just like, seeing all these different cosplayers, seeing all these 10th Doctors, 11th Doctors. I needed to just indulge in it more. So I joined that world as well. And then, the rest is history, really.
Well, speaking of history, your audio series didn't come before you got involved with some fan films that you appeared in, and I see that you're very well known for being the Purple Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help it. I always think of Prince when I hear Purple. The Purple Doctor. I expect Prince with the guitar. How did that come about?
So yes, Purple Doctor. Now that is something I've been working on for quite some time. So back in about 2014, I went to Birmingham MCM and Comic-Con, which is one of the other big ones in the UK. And as part of my being introduced to cosplay and all that, I was making all these friends all over the country, which is and these acquaintances and everything like that. It was just the cosplay community is great to make friends in. That much is for certain, because I never really had many friends growing up, and for that to just somehow change overnight was very overwhelming, but it was very nice. The fan film side of things are at Birmingham MCM. I met my now dear friend Luke Newman, who founded the DW 2012 fan film series back in 2013, and he was already in the midst of his first and second series, and we met and we chatted and we got to know each other, and then eventually he was like, would you be interested in playing the Doctor after me? And I was like, hell yeah, because I loved acting. After I did my GCSE exams, I started my first foray into actual sixth form school, college, etc., that sort of thing. It was my first academic experience where there were loads of other people around me, and that was quite overwhelming. But I got very much into the performing arts side of things, and I loved performing. I did theatre plays. I did Beauty and the Beast and Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I was like, I really love acting. That is quite a passion of me. And then to be given this opportunity to play the Doctor, a role that I was basically obsessed with at that point in time, and to an extent still am, in a more grown up way. I really was like, yeah.
Is there a more grown up way?
Probably not, actually. That just no. But yeah, I was like, I bit his hand off. Really, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do anything. And so a couple of years later, in 2016, 17, I started filming for the for my series, as it were, the Purple Doctor series, and it took quite a long time because unfortunately the pandemic set in, and so that massively delayed things. But we took the decision over the pandemic to revamp the series, rewrite the scripts, and make it just a lot better. So after the pandemic, we refilmed everything again, and I like to think that we've created something that is something we can be absolutely proud of, because I really like how it's turned out. And the Purple Doctor seems to have gone down quite well with various people, and I take nothing for granted. I mean, I just hope that it's okay. There's a lot of work put into it by all peoples. Luke is especially a workaholic when it comes to this series. It's his baby, and it's my privilege to be the face of it for a bit. And Meg, of course, Megan Williams, his wife, who we met doing the series as well, which is quite amazing. She is lovely and has been my dear companion in that series, and was amazing as well, as is Ben. I'll end up Ben, who plays Tommy, as well. I end up crediting everyone because they just deserve equal credit, because I'm just a small part of the pie that makes this whole thing work. And we've done about 9 episodes, with the final one is to come out hopefully in June. And I'm extremely looking forward to seeing everybody's reactions to it, because we've done the previous 8 episodes have been really, really something. Some of the best media as a creative that I've done, and I'm really proud of them. And it's not every day you can say, hi, I played Doctor Who and I got to fight the Clockwork Droids. Even if it's in an unofficial capacity, it still somewhat counts in my little head. But it's just good fun at the end of it all. It's good fun. And yeah, it's just...
No, it's a good thing, actually. 'Cause, I mean, Nick Briggs did it unofficially years and years ago, and look where he went with his career, and a similar thing is happening with you. So that's good.
Absolutely,
you are following on in Nick's shoes. Absolutely,
that's always a delight
when it comes to Big Finish.
Nick's lovely. So
you said you were you rewrote the script. So were you involved with Luke in rewriting those scripts, and is that where you sort of started writing?
So I wrote the first episode, How Time Flies. We did that. I wrote the basis of it. He did all the bits that ties it into the arc, and then we gave it a overhaul later down the line. And so, yeah, I was very heavily creatively involved in the first episode because it was the introduction to my Doctor and everything like that. But as a writer, I had been doing stuff on the side as well. So while the series was being made, I also did, during COVID, I did a fan audio series called Doctor Who Remnants, which basically was it was inspired by anthology shows such as The Twilight Zone and Inside Number 9 and The Outer Limits. All those shows that I developed a great interest in as a teenager, because I just love the whole, these are just random scenarios that things could just go randomly wrong for anybody involved. And there were all sorts of, like, I remember so strongly just watching that episode of The Twilight Zone with William Shatner, and there's that thing on the plane, or there's the last man and he breaks his glasses, he's the last man alive. And there's just all sorts of episodes of all those anthology shows. I needed to do something along those lines. And so I put together the series Doctor Who Remnants, which is basically my version of an anthology series if it was Doctor Who wise. So it would be loosely taking concepts of Doctor Who and making little mini stories with primarily no real Doctor involved, at least not as the main protagonist. But random tales around the Doctor Who universe of just random civilians getting involved with various scrapes. Like, I know the first one involved a spaceship being taken over by the Cybermen, and the second one showing the danger of vortex manipulators. And I got a whole little crew of writers and actors. So I kind of masterminded that whole project throughout COVID and slightly beyond. And I think it went down very well as well. And again, it's something that I'm really proud of, because I could just really just start expunging those ideas from my brain, getting them onto paper, and hopefully making something fun out of them. And also learning those skills in audio production itself as well, like editing together. Basically self-taught with that, and casting, whatnot, and asking people. Yeah, it all just came together quite nicely, and it's something that really kept me busy throughout those COVID days, which I'm very, very thankful for, because those were difficult days for everybody. And I think a lot of creativity in the Doctor Who fandom really started kicking into high gear around then, because there are a lot of fan audio projects being made, a lot of fan film projects being made, there was even the Doctor Who lockdown stuff being done as well, officially, probably not officially, but with the official creatives involved. And it was a terrible time for the world, but the Doctor Who community really did its best to try and get us all through it in its own way.
Tell us about the lockdown episode you wrote.
Oh, yes. The Genuine Article. That was one that was really fun. So, fun fact about me. I live with the creator of the Absorbaloff, Will Grantham. We're flatmates. And he...
gotcha.
And he and I we worked together with our dear friend Sam, who's also a flatmate, to put together this little idea for Doctor Who Lockdown, and we pitched it to Emily Cook, who was producing them, and we came up with the idea of the 10th Doctor facing the Absorbalop's father, as well as having a cameo from one of the other Creator Monster entries as well. I can't remember his name, something like Big Tony or something ridiculous. But we got a great amount of talent.
Sad Tony.
Sad Tony, that's it. Thank you. How do you remember that as well?
No, I don't. I just looked on the screen.
Oh, I see. I see. That's helpful. I should have had a screen. I do. Well, I have a screen, but I just didn't have it up there. Yeah, so we got Elliot Crosley involved. We had John Coleshaw involved as well. Both magnificent talents. And it was animated by Will. I wrote the script. Sam did the music. It was a real labour of love to Love and Monsters. That is one of the most maligned episodes of Modern Who, but we all don't think it's that bad at all. We actually quite think it's quite good. So, you know, we just...
Me too, to be honest.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
Excellent. All on the same page. So I just thought it was a lovely little tribute to that story, and again, it was a labour of love, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. I'm just very grateful to have been able to work on it, and very grateful to have the people around me that were able to work on it, because, again, small piece of the pie, and everyone just did their own bit to an excellent degree, and can't really say anything more thankful than that.
Excellent. All right. On that note, that leads us to a very, very deep and dark place, Philip. Do you know where we've got to go together?
I thought you'd forgotten to take us there, to be honest.
No.
We're so far in.
Never, ever forget. Where is it, Philip?
Down the rabbit hole.
Let's go down the rabbit hole. All right. So, since we're talking specifically about a Companion Chronicles release later in the episode, I want, and I know, Philip, that the Companion Chronicles is possibly your favourite sort of sideline to the main Doctor Who range. I want you to, let's just pretend I'm a fan who's never heard a Companion Chronicle before. I want you to sell it to me. What's so good about these Companion Chronicles? Come on, Philip. We're going to ask Dom in a minute too.
What is so good about the Companion Chronicles? Take some amazing actors who starred alongside the Doctor, who regularly didn't get enough of a starring role, and give them the central piece in a story, still connected with the Doctor and telling a story with the Doctor, but the Doctor's not present, and then being done in some of the most creative and entertaining ways. And that's sort of the Companion Chronicles. So, tiny cast. I mean, the original Chronicles, maximum cast of 2. And then you actually you get to feature the brilliance of the original actors plus usually another guest, sometimes playing just one role, sometimes multiple roles, and you force the writers to be as creative as possible to tell an amazing story. So, yeah. I mean, you're going to say, you're saying one of my favorite alongside the main range. I prefer the Companion Chronicles to the main range. And I'm not saying it's my favorite. I'm not saying it's my favorite range, because there's other ranges that I adore in Big Finish, but I do prefer the Companion Chronicles to the main range.
They certainly have a very experimental nature to them. They can be, because they have to be, out of necessity with a small cast. They have to be experimental, and they take you to some amazing places sometimes. Dom, what's your thoughts on the Companion Chronicles? How would you sell them to me?
I mean, Philip put it very, very well. It's an experimental set of stories that really put the companions into focus. Well, hence the name. But I just love the idea of it just focusing on those characters. So again, as Philip said, sometimes in places didn't get as much dues as they should have done, like especially if we say Dodo. And which we've been able to act on, fortunately, recently. I just really love as you say, those sort of restrictions with the cast do add in order to make it a bit more avant-garde in some way, to make it a bit more different to the usual Big Finish set, in the way that I have to really push that creativity. And it is just the companion. They have faced with a situation, and it's their job to really be the focal point and solve it. And sometimes I think that can be an extremely good way of just giving them some increased depth that sometimes they may have not had the time or opportunity to explore on screen. Sometimes just to get in their own heads. Like, one of my favorites is Perry and the Piscon Paradox. And I love how that really gets in the head of Perry and really just battling with her own sort of a potential fate, shall we say. And I just love how that was all approached by Nicola, by all involved. And it gives them a real chance to like expand their acting muscles as well, because they just have so much opportunities, and the world is their oyster, really, in terms of these things. They're limited only by the writer, and the writer's responsibility to really just throw them into the deep end and see what sticks, see what situations they can be put into, and how they can come out of it with either little doctor help, or they're helping the doctor, or even the doctor's not involved. And I just love the anthology aspect of it as well, because you can just really tell any sort of story and with any sort of character, and you don't have those typical Doctor Who stylings to revolve around. You really have to go about it as if it's the Companion's own series for an episode. And I think it's a really unique way of going about things. It's their own little spin-off series in a little microscopic bit of the Doctor Who franchise.
And sometimes it's just the intimacy involved. I mean, no doubt we're going to talk about families in a moment, but the Time War, I mean, I love the Time War series. They're big, they're bold, they're huge stories. But the Time War story told in this box set with Carol Ann Ford, it's just her and one other person. And it is so intimate and personal and emotional that you can't, well, we don't tell a story. The Time War series doesn't tell a story like that. But the Companion Chronicles can.
Yeah.
And so the intimacy that you could get inside some of these characters and the special moments of grief and tragedy, which is what the story's about, is beautiful.
Exactly. It is a path to have more personal stories, which I think is one of the greatest aspects of the series. It can just be anything in that regard. It can be just small scale. I love it just being small scale and just these small little adventures, which can be massive threats or just little explorations of the characters. It can be anything, really, and I think that is one of its greatest strengths.
Fellas, I am sold. Companion Chronicles, I want them all. So, I think you did a great job there, boys. Thank you for that. We'll crawl up out of the rabbit hole, and we will talk about some more of your Big Finish work, Dom, because was it your lockdown episode, or was it Remnants that caught the eye of David Richardson and got him to approach you to be involved more with Big Finish?
I think it might have been a combination. I know Remnants was directly cited as one of the reasons they got me involved, because I think they saw how I was approaching it, put out the casting call and everything like that, and just putting the whole series together. I think he caught somebody's eye at least, but David Richardson got into contact with me and asked if I wanted to be a trainee. And I, of course, was over the moon, and I just, again, bit his hand off. And all of a sudden, I was I was like an associate producer on Peladon. So that I was listening into the clean feed sessions of Peladon and being able to compose interview questions to Paul McGann and everyone involved, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is quite a step!" Wow, and oh goodness, and Alex Kingston as well. Fun fact: I made a question that flummoxed Alex Kingston once. I can't remember what it was, but I was aiming too high. I was trying too hard to impress, and but it was all fine. It was all fine, but fortunately, the rest of it ran well, and they sort of saw potential in me and took me under their wing.
And one of your earliest memories, of course, was with the Sixth Doctor, and you got to be involved with one of his sets, Purity Undreamed. Is that right?
Yes. Got involved with a couple of the Purity things as an assistant producer. So I was helping one of my favourite Doctor Who authors, the wonderfully talented Jacqueline Rayner. She was an actual diamond to work with. So she was helping her out on those sets for a bit. And it was a great experience. Colin is a lovely, lovely guy. And just the entire cast is just so talented. Just going to the studio sessions and just seeing magic be put together and helping out the director of the day. And it was a very, very great experience. And that box set is very good. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but I really love the Purity sets. And yeah, it's just as my first real experiences being thrown into in studio as well, because previous bits had been done through clean feed because still COVID times were still prevalent. But as we gradually crept out of that, of course, I was flabbergasted half the time, just wondering how my life had ended up into this particular state, this particular moment. But got there in the end, and I really enjoyed working with everybody. I think I've developed a bit of a knack for it now. But as long as it all goes smoothly, I have no complaints. That's just my job, just making sure everything goes without question.
That's
so
what you want as a producer,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. One thing
Smoothly is what
exactly.
you want.
One thing you learn very quickly, and I mean, like minute one, you got to turn off all the fan brain. You got to just get rid of it and just switch into professional brain and just make sure you just treat everyone as a human and just take each problem and solve it. And fortunately, every one of the sessions that I've had seems to have gone pretty smoothly, touch wood, and I really enjoyed them. And just hopefully that's a sign of me doing my job well, or B, the whole universe making sure that nothing too complex arises on the day. So I'm not complaining.
But you've not only had a go at producing for Big Finish, you have done some writing as well. You did one of the interludes a few years back, that I, Chameleon, on the 41 box set, which was the 40th anniversary of the Fifth Doctor. But you wrote a story about Chameleon. How did that come about?
So David Richardson was asking for pitches for that, and because it was Fifth Doctor centered, I really liked the Fifth Doctor era, and there was one particular element that I felt was always a bit under-tapped outside of Big Finish, because Big Finish did a load of stories of Chameleon that I thought were excellent, and the poor bloke still never really had his dues on TV, and I thought there was just something I could maybe do as an epilogue to his story, and to lead a bit further into Planet of Fire. So I immediately started trying to come up with ideas of Chameleon, and then for some unknown reason, I don't know whether I just finally lost my mind trying to think of these things. I was just like, what if he discovered what it was like to be human? And I just decided, you know what, I'll go with that. That's as fun an idea as any. And I put together the whole outline and everything, and fortunately seemed to have been received quite well, and I got to do it, and with massive help with the legendary John Dorney, an ever so talented and lovely guy. We worked together on bringing the whole script up to scratch, so I went through a few drafts, because obviously I've never had any professional writing training, so he very much helped me out in the right style, format, etc. How professional he effectively mentored and tutored me throughout that process and getting it all done, and I was very, very grateful to him for that, because I think it came out really well, and Dan Starkey did an incredible job reading it. I was going to say it was amazing job that he did. Really brought it to life so well, and
wasn't his Turlo good?
Yes, almost indistinguishable. don't know how he does it, is really, really solid. And it was very, very. I mean, it's difficult when it's your own writing. You just hope that people like it, but sometimes you just feel proud of how it's come out, and I just feel proud of how that came out. And again, a small part in the pie. They all did amazingly. And just very grateful that it's out there, and very grateful that people enjoyed it.
Awesome. Now, was the Families box set, that wasn't your first set of Companion Chronicles that you produced, was it?
No.
You'd done a couple previously, had you?
Yes. So I worked on the Second Doctor Volume 3, first of all. So I took over from the previous producer, Ian Atkins, who moved on halfway through the box set, and I took over for the second half. So I did the last two stories, which were very, very good experiences for me. I was very much guided through them with David Richardson. He really used them to show me the ropes of everything, and I think they came out very nicely. I mean, I met Wendy Padbury, who was very, very, very delightful, and of course Lisa.
She's delightful.
Oh yes, she absolutely is. Such a lovely, and her daughter as well was helping her with the clean feed stuff. Very lovely. And
Charlie.
Yes. Oh, everyone's familiar. Lovely.
we were Charlie and Wendy were out here 12 months ago.
Oh, lovely.
And so we spent a couple of delightful weeks together, doing lots of things and doing touring and doing events for us.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And, yeah.
Oh, that's delightful. Oh, what a combination. Yes, and also Lisa Bowerman, who is just a legend. Just magnificent director and actor and everything like that. Pretty much an all-rounder. And working with them for the first time was just... Oh, that definitely was that was my first real, okay, put the fan brain down. It is now dead. It is dead in the ditch. You are a professional. Work. And yeah.
Because, of course, Lisa was in Classic Who as well.
Yeah, Survival.
So as a fan, you know that.
Yeah. That's other things that you have both keep in your mind and also put it to the back. But thoroughly lovely experience working with them, and they all really just helped me get to grips with everything. And I mean, it's just weird thinking about these formulative experiences and just seeing how both it's very different to how I approach things back then versus how I approach things now, because I've just become a lot more confident naturally. But back then, I was feeling like I was flying through the seat of my pants, just wondering if there was ever going to be a potential disaster. But it didn't come to pass, so I'm very grateful. And also met Rufus Hound as well, who was very, very funny, very dynamic to work with. I did an extremely good monk. It was a very, very fascinating time. I just really love everything about how that box set came out. It's just, I mean, half of it was obviously down to Ian because he got all the scripts involved, and so obviously massive credit to him from that. It was only real Families was my first solo from the ground up production so far, and yeah, that was a long experience, but a rewarding one all the same. But the Second Doctor third volume was, it was a great formative experience.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who: The Companion Chronicles, Families.
Long ago, when I travelled with my grandfather, he always saw me as a child, even when I was quite grown up. And I suppose, for him, I became a child because I wanted to make him happy.
Now let me see. Whose court might one be likely to encounter in northern France in the autumn of 1120, eh?
I must have skipped the class on medieval history. Go on.
Oh, my head. What happened? Who are you?
Nebron, and I've just saved your life.
I even let him enroll me in a school. Then, next thing I knew, we were off travelling with two of my teachers. And they treated me like a child as well.
So here's how it starts. I was with the doctor and we're running. I'll explain why later.
My apologies, Your Grace. I would never have been so forward if I'd known I was addressing Stephen of Blois.
Stephen of Blois?
I wish I knew, but I don't think it was an accident.
No?
Landing here, I think that happened for a reason. I just have to work out what it is. Anyway, soon we were almost like a family. Mum, Dad, Grandfather, and the kid. But that wasn't who I was at all. Do you see?
Edith! Of course! Mrs. Edith Garrett! Well, I never...
I can't believe my eyes. I'm looking at a little old woman who had come up behind the two of them and clobbered him, using some fancy moves, like martial arts of some kind.
And if that is the White Ship, then this must be the 25th of November. I must get back.
I'm not nuts. You heard me correctly. We are travellers in space and time. We were searching South London for a crashed alien spaceship.
This isn't a ship, it's a wreck. Don't you realise what he's saying? There's only one lifeboat.
No, keep away from me. Don't come any closer.
You have no choice. You will soon find that life has become so much simpler.
You see before you the source of all life, a sheer cliff face of glass compassing the divine light.
Except you have a small problem, don't you? The cliff face is in the process of cracking.
Which is why we need tributes, to hold back the moment of oblivion.
You've got it wrong. I'm not Stephen of Blois. You were telling me a story about being alone.
Well, not really a story. Only a little one. It was just an illustration.
Well, I'm all ears for the rest.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
And so now Families has come along. You were involved with that from the start. Does that mean you're involved with getting the writers together, the formula for the box set together?
Yeah.
Families,
Yeah.
that was the name of the set. Was that, I think, from the extras I gathered that was an important theme for you that you wanted to get across the sets?
Yes. When it came to this sort of soft rebooted version of the Companion Chronicles, we started incorporating those sort of little through line themes. So with Families, it was obviously different types of family, like platonic or generational, and just obviously with Stardust and Ashes, it's Susan and the Doctor and that little family unit they created, which draws reference to himself being the child of the lot. And with Temple of Light, of course, you've got sort of generations of families. It was all that sort of that feel to it. I wanted to keep that. It's a minor through line, but something that just links that anthology together with that, because I just felt like I wanted to go about it from a more personal angle. I wanted it to be a bit more I wanted to keep that whole small scale personal stories with a relatable theme to spread across it. And the writers really rose to the occasion, because obviously the ones I asked were just extraordinary talents, and just very happy that they contributed such, I think, important tales that can be seen for those companions. Like, Stardust and Ashes in particular was very much a coda to Susan and Alex, because I am a big fan of those Eighth Doctor adventures with Lucy Miller and To the Depth and everything like that, and of course just being granted that opportunity to work with all these people to create a little coda to that, I felt was really just something that was important. Ian Potter did a amazing script, an amazing outline, and it was just something so personal. And Carol Ann, I can't tell you the emotion that was felt during that during that recording day. She just was extraordinary, an extraordinary talent. And it just continuously reminds you that she is just always been at the top of her game, and she's never left the top of her game. She brings everything that she can to Susan, and it's clear that it's a character she cares about deeply. And it just, it's one of those days when you really had to be there. It was just such a heightened emotion between her and Duncan Risby, who played Perryman, and the two of them just bounced off each other like magic. And the final scene is the favorite scene that I've ever had the privilege of being a part of. It is just golden to me.
Can we actually go back? Because I'd love to know how the process started. So at what stage do you know you'd be doing this box set of Companion Chronicles? How are you the one who actually puts it all together? So do you look after the whole gamut of gathering writers? I don't know if it had script editors or not, this one, but where did it start? How long ago did it start? And what are you doing to get this on to us, into our ears last month?
So, the overall process. So, I mean, at the beginning, I had a meeting with David Richardson and Nick Briggs. We just basically went through the outline of what it could be, what it's supposed to be, and how we can go about it. And they gave me some potential writers that may be interested, because, of course, with these sets, they wanted, obviously, people who were particularly invested in writing for the First Doctor and who could do those companions with the same level of love and interest as the previous sets of the Companion Chronicles as well, because it was keeping it sort of with people who had proven their experience with those companions. And so I got into contact with them, and they pitched the ideas to me, and whichever ideas that I liked the best, I sent over to Nick and David.
Did you only approach 4 writers, or did you approach more than 4 writers to get them to pitch ideas, and you picked the 4 best pitches?
Oh, really? It was the 4 writers that had in mind at the beginning. I mean, at the beginning, there was originally a bit more, but availability came into question with some of them. So then we just were like, okay, we'll get you on the next one. Should that be your next one? And then we revisited other people. So there were a couple of changes in the lineup, but nothing out of like, oh, your story's not good enough. No way. No, nothing like that. It was just more down to a scheduling sort of thing and how busy people were.
Yep.
So whilst the original...
Part of your checking is actually checking availability.
Yes.
What time frame? So by the time they've got to pitch you an idea, you've got to approve the idea, they've got to do a rough draft of it, and then get a script to you.
Yes.
How long is that process?
It can take a few months. Really, it can take a few months from the time frame from initial outline to getting that getting the outline approved by all the powers that be, shall we say, and then it moves on to the scripting process. So it is really just a case of just making sure everything gets done in a timely manner, making sure everything gets done, because we're given deadlines, and we've got to just make sure we keep to them.
How many pitches would each of these authors have given you? A couple of pitches each, 2 or 3?
Yeah, I can't remember a precise amount of number, but it's definitely a couple per. Dependent on who's. There was a couple where just the one pitch I was sold immediately, and then but a couple of the others a bit more of which has been lost to history. But the ones that we went with were just the ones that were golden, and if I just loved those ones, then I'm just more than happy to send them over to the powers, and if the powers like them, and maybe they need a little bit more tweaking or stuff like that, but everything is maneuverable. it's all maneuverable. And so when we get to that phase, then it's the scripting phase. And then when the script's done, obviously we worked with the script editors. So on board, I had Matt Fitton, Jack Rayner, and Andrew Smith, who worked on this box set. And they did amazing jobs, just making sure everything was up to scratch and whatnot. And then once that's all,
it's unusual. You had three script editors working.
Yes,
which is a bit unusual. Wouldn't you usually just have one script editor doing all four stories? Why the three?
Oh, it was down to availability and scheduling because Matt Fitton, or Jacqueline Rayner, she'd already done the first script as well. That was already done. The second script was edited by Matt Fitton, but he is an incredibly busy guy and very much a workaholic with Big Finish. And so it just, schedule-wise, at one point it would probably be best not to kill the poor man by making him script edit episodes 3 and 4. So then Nick and John Ainsworth, they got in Andrew Smith to mastermind the script editing process of episodes 3 and 4. And Andrew will be the one that did the finalized versions of those scripts, so obviously working in conjunction with those writers. And he was very, very, very helpful. And of course, it was lovely to get acquainted properly with someone who worked on 80s Doctor Who as a fan. And he started off as a fan and he has grown in stature ever since. So it was a lovely opportunity to meet these lovely people and just get the measure of their talents. And I mean, sometimes it feels extremely weird because I am easily the least experienced out of anybody that I've probably worked with. So I'm like, how am I bossing these people around? How am I a judge of talent? What the hell? So yeah, you do get a bit of a imposter syndrome sometimes, but it happens every other day.
Well, speaking of experience, what did you learn from someone like Lisa Bauman? So you were working in conjunction with her for this.
Yeah.
You seem like a really good team, the two of you. So what did you learn from her?
I just learned just utilizing the strengths of your cast. She's extremely good at just pushing her cast and getting those right performances out. Like, she knows who to cast dead on as well, because Duncan Wisby is an incredible talent, because he did so many different voices in the Temple of Light that half of them don't think any of them sound like his real voice. It's crazy. And
no, I hadn't actually realized it was one actor.
Yeah.
I was surprised how many people you'd cast. I was listening through it thinking, boy, they've got a big cast for this Companion Chronicles. And it wasn't until at the end I went, oh, that was just one person. Because I really thought you'd cast many people.
Yeah, no, it's great when you can get that sort of energy out of the story. And as well as that, he brought the same level to the Temple of Light as well, because he played many people in that. And it is sometimes one of the best things you can do with the Companion Chronicles is just grab those actors who can do those sorts of incalculable voices, because it can really help with the depth of the story that you're telling, being able to give the illusion of these various members of cast. It really depends on the story that you're trying to tell. Obviously, the more personal ones, then two-handers work like amazingly. Like with the Y Factor as well, like having that sort of, you're going back to that narratorial aspect of Dodo, and you're able to just make use of various different talents there. And I'm just grateful to have all these people involved who can just throw their voices to bizarre degrees. And it's incredible. It's a skill that I'm just thoroughly amazed and baffled by. I'll never quite get how it works, but it's not my job to do that. It's just my job to hope the magic passes by.
Really great hearing Stephen Noonan doing multiple voices.
Yeah.
Because we only really get him as the first Doctor. And once again, I didn't quite recognize him because I'm just not used to hearing him use other voices. And once again, the range he had was, the two side actors for the Companion Chronicles, Stephen Noonan, and so what was the other actor's name?
Duncan Wisby.
Duncan, they were just amazing, both of them, in terms of what they could do and the voices they produced. It was just astounding with both those people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's phenomenal talents, along with the companions themselves. They just blended perfectly. While the companion focuses on being the companion, or, well, in Carol Ann's case, she was kind of conveying everyone, like the First Doctor and Ian and Barbara as well. She's just giving the whole ethos of the whole team. She was channeling the whole team, and she still did that marvelously as well, because obviously she worked with them. She knows them intimately, so it all just came together lovely, like how Fraser and the Second Doctor just a gel.
Can I just say that we don't like to give too much detail about new releases. We don't want to spoil them, but can I say the Temple of Light in particular, Johnny Morris is probably one of my favourite Big Finish writers, and he just blew me away with that story again. It was a mind-blowing story. So I can't really say why it blew my mind.
No.
You just have to trust me, folks. Get this one. It is a really good story, just that one on its own, let alone the rest. And really a really nice cross-section of stories too, because you had the White Ship, which was Paul Morris's, stamp of comedy throughout that as well. He does a really good job with comedy. And the Y Factor, you had someone who hadn't written so many scripts before, with a new person in there too. So he had that experience plus that new injection of talent too, which was really good in this set. But
I'm amazed using the word comedy with the White Ship. For me, it was just tragic. The whole...
Well, part two was.
It's still at that...
The way Paul Morris writes, he does write very, very funny lines.
Yeah.
And so, in combination with the absolute tragedy of it.
The one historical was... Yeah, okay. Just for me, I mean, I found that devastating. The White Ship. I mean, part two is just so overswamped the setup in terms of the historical setting. But the Temple of Light, fully agree with the reveal of what was going on in the Temple of Light was both hilarious and also it was a big surprise.
That's the thing. I mean, Paul he has this natural humor with him that is just able to pull from, but he knows when to restrain it, obviously. But he also has great historical knowledge, which is something that is very prevalent throughout that script, and it's definitely it's sort of scary almost. And I just really, when it takes that tragic element, it really sells the tragic element. I think of all of them, I would say the Y Factor is probably the reprieve, I guess, of the box set in terms of its tone. But even then, it's still a bit like, ooh. Chris Cooper was lovely to get involved as well, because he was so with him, Edith Garrod, one of the central figures was his great grandmother, and there was that lovely family.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's that lovely family relation that he obviously felt extremely in tune to. And so when he pitched that, because he pitched something alongside as well, but when I saw that, I was like, what better could you do than writing something that you have had a lot of generational experience from? Like, you may not have directly had experience, but from your own parentage about more than I'd say most, I would say. So it's definitely his opportunity to pay tribute to her, and she was a very powerful woman.
Well, I think that felt the most modern Who, because you take a real historical figure and then you put them into a Doctor Who story with still a science fiction surround. So I think part of the reason the box set works so well is just so, and this is why I love Companion Chronicles, it is just so diverse.
Yeah.
And so you've got a pure historical with the White Ship, but then you've got this, I think what the new series calls it, a celebrity historical.
Yeah.
Where you take a celebrity figure from history and you put them into a science fiction setting. You've got, I still say it's the war, the time war, but I'm not going to try where it fits in terms of the Susan thing, but to me it's part of the time war situation. And so you've got that situation, and then the first one, which is just pure science fiction, etc. So every story has a different element which is going to appeal to a Doctor Who fan. And I said you can almost call out, it's a bit like the first one, a bit like at the Space Museum. It's a bit like Planet of the Giants. It's a bit like this. You can sort of pull out bits of Doctor Who stories and feel it. That's just really touching in with the original stories.
Exactly, and that's, I think, one of the strongest aspects of the Companion Chronicles in general. Is it's the diversity, as you say, and I really love it's the anthology format at its best, and that's something that's been the Companion Chronicles has kept as a thorough line throughout its entire run, and that is something that I think it makes it what it is, and just keeping that sort of diversity is extremely important. No story should be the same, at least within the same box set, in terms of its genre or tone. So it's always fun to experiment.
It's interesting, this one. For the final two stories, we had one of the recast Doctors feature in the Companion Chronicles for a change. That's happened occasionally, every now and then, with a Doctor turning up in the Companion Chronicles. But here we had that again. And he's been, as a surprise, we actually have our first Doctor, Stephen Noonan, waiting in the wings. He's been waiting there for a little while, so I'll bring him on. Here he is.
Hello.
Our first Doctor, Stephen.
Hello.
Hello, Stephen. So good to see you.
About
You're out
time.
of the room again. Nice to see you. Good morning, or afternoon, or is it evening?
Nighttime here, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever time people are listening it is.
What's that from? Good morning, good afternoon, or is it evening? It's so difficult to tell around here.
Two Ronnies? Sounds like two Ronnies.
I'll give you a good morning, or afternoon, or is it evening? It's so difficult to tell around here. That's a clue. Fourth Doctor.
Fourth Doctor from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to talk about Terror of the Autons today, is that right?
No, we're actually at the moment talking about the White Ship, which is the historical story. So, how did you feel coming on doing a companion chronicle where Peter?
That was the one with Peter, if I recall.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it was wonderful to come back so soon to work with Peter, having done whatever it was called, the previous one. I always call it the Living Daylights. Yes, that's right. The Living Darkness, and we got on very well. And so it was lovely to come back and do another one with him, and to do one with him and with Lauren, who's so great. But you want to talk about the White Ship at the moment? I was listening because I was inspired to join you today, having listened to it, and how wonderful I thought it was. And
if you do say
how
so
well
yourself.
not because of me, although I was okay. I wasn't entirely disenchanted with what I was doing, but just how well it all came together. I really liked both scripts and I read them, but when you hear it all come together with the music and the effects and everything. And I really liked, for instance, amongst the many things I liked about it, was the music, which reminded me of the sort of music that Paddy Kingsland was writing prior to Doctor Who in the mid-70s, when he would do incidental music for... There's a series called The Changes. Is anybody familiar with The Changes from 1975, where the whole of society breaks down? And Paddy Kingsland uses... Because the great thing about... radiophonics as a band, stereophonics, is they can sound futuristic, but also can sound strangely sort of eerily ancient as well. And there's music that Paddy Kingsland did for The Changes, where the whole of society has become sort of medieval. And the incidentals on this reminded me of that sort of spooky, eerie, electronic music that also evokes the past rather beautifully. So that was one thing that struck me. But just how good Peter was as a narrator.
Was that your choice, Dom, to get Richard Fox to do the music for that one?
Yes, Richard Fox. He did the sound design and the music, so he was all over that. He did a magnificent job, has to be said.
For all the stories. For all the stories, was
yes.
the composer for all? Because I haven't listened to the credits. Again, in the Y Factor, there's in transitional scenes or scenes when something's going on sinister, you're totally beguiled by the sort of the strangeness of the incidental music in that as well, which of course is so important in audio to create the ambience and everything. So the whole the sound landscape in both pieces was wonderful, and of course it was a great opportunity to get to do different voices and to escape from the tyranny of having to sound, which of course I love doing, but of course it's that sort of perennial challenge of trying to make it sound as much like old WH each time. But there's a wonderful sort of freedom to be able to create a character that nobody can say, well, he didn't sound like that. because nobody knows what Berold the butcher, for instance, or Stephen of Blois sounded like. But the challenge there was, if you're in a dialogue with yourself, playing both characters, is finding a pitch for the voice which is significantly different from in this case the Doctor. So I was determined that in a scene the audience who didn't know wouldn't know it was the same actor, hopefully. And so with Berold it was a case because Hartnell's quite a sort of tenor pitch to find a very bass sound for Berold, Your Highness. So when there was a sort of debate or a sort of an interchange between the two of them. So you've got the difference, which makes it immediately sound different. So what I can't remember one of the scenes now where Berold's trying to explain to him about the TARDIS, where the TARDIS is, and he's saying, "Your box, my box, your ship, my ship." Oh, what's he talking about here? So you get that complete sort of. Whatever you call it, contrast between the pitches to distinguish them. So that was fun.
I was saying before that I actually hadn't realised you were doing all the voices. I thought that actually employed a bigger cast for these Companion Chronicles, because it didn't. I mean, I know your voice.
Well, I wasn't doing. To my at the moment, shame. I haven't listened to the other two, the ones I wasn't in, the Maureen and the Caroline Ford ones, but I believe that there's another actor in that doing other voices.
And once again, he does a whole range of voices. So both of you together, I don't know, must do 10 voices or 12 voices between you. And I was feeling like they must have had a big cast. They'd employed a big cast for those stories, because they were just. I couldn't, and I said, and I know your voice quite well now, and we chat a bit, and I love your first Doctor. And there was these voices that I didn't think was you. So it wasn't until I got to the end credits that when I went, oh, it was all Stephen Noonan. There you go.
Yeah. It's great fun doing that. And then with the other voice, the other main one in The White Ship, Stephen of Blois, and I was casting around. So with Berold, the butcher character, it was great when I came in on the day because you often don't get to talk to your director until the morning, and you're hoping that the choices you've made when you arrive on the day are going to be approved by the director. And so we sat down to have a chat. I want to call her Bernie Summerfield, Lisa and I, and she said, "What have you worked out for Berold?" And I said, "Well, I thought a country accent." She said, "Oh God, thank God for that. I'm glad you didn't decide on a Cockney accent." I was going to say, I said no. And so it's great when you come in and your ideas chime with what the director's ideas are. And what was also lovely about Lisa is because she's got such a great cultural encyclopedic knowledge of things. I was trying to find a country accent, and I went listened to and watched lots of different films with different sort of, and tried to find something that sounded like a medieval country accent, so it didn't just sound like somebody from 2024 as it was at the time, who was from the country. And there was a wonderful film from 1973 called Aikenfield, where local people played themselves in this sort of time capsule, and they had to play characters from just before the First World War. So the accents there sound country, but also old country. And I mentioned this, and Lisa knew the film, which was very impressive because it's quite obscure. So it's nice that when there's a sort of shared grammar between you and the director when you arrive. And so that was the voice for Berold. And then I was casting around and of course this is all very nautical, the White Ship, and so I was looking at sort of things involving sailors from the past, and I don't know if you got Captain Pugwash in Australia, which was a an animated series where Peter Hawkins did all the voices from Tom the Cabin Boy to Cutthroat Jake, and his voice for Captain Pugwash was rather as shuddering sharks, me heart is. Shudder me timbers. If that's supposed to be an escape hatch, it's too small for even my slim figure. I thought I rather like that voice. And if I pitch that up a bit and make it a bit more camp, then I'll
carry on.
That's what I'll do for Stephen of Blois. So,
you know what I was thinking? I was thinking it was more along the lines of like Kenneth Williams cross between him and Cyril Shaps from his appearance in Some Mothers Do Have 'Em. You know, in that hotel episode.
Oh, Mr. Bedford.
Mr. Bedford. Yeah,
Mr.
that's the
Bedford.
one.
That when they're in the hotel with Neil McCarthy, who's in Power of Kroll as the manager in that extraordinary episode.
And Mind of Evil.
Well, of course, it did occur to me when I'd found the Stephen of Blois voice, which was
They've drunk enough barrels of wine to souse a small army. I think it was like that. It was as camp as that, wasn't it? Oh, I feel rather queasy.
that it suddenly occurred to me that it sounded like a cross between Kenneth Williams and Charles Hawtrey, and possibly, yes, who was it? Cyril Shaps, yeah.
Mr. Bedford.
So it's great fun to do that, and on radio, you know, you can get away with broader strokes sometimes, you know, than perhaps you would in a more naturalistic televisual setting. And you can't be seen, so you don't have to worry about, you know, costume and what you look like. You just create it all with a voice. So that was great.
So Dom, what's it like for you watching these actors at work doing all these things?
It's magic, isn't it? Just seeing all these various different voices come out of the mouths of these various people you've had many conversations with, and then suddenly you're speaking to completely different people, and you're like, where did that come from? Huh? What? It's mine to be like, it's always the same when it's so multi-talented, like performers, the multi-voice performers like yourself, Stephen, or when it's speaking to people like John Coleshaw can somehow become 5 different people in the space of a single sentence. It's just amazing. It is amazing, and it makes your brain just work overdrive, just being like, wow, whoa.
Yeah.
And it really brings a lot to the script, because especially when it's like the two-handers, like the Companion Chronicles, because all of a sudden it lends this whole new depth. It's like, we didn't need other people. Suddenly it's just various different people inhabiting one frame. And I think that is it's an extraordinary talent that really comes into play when it is these intimate personal stories that the Companion Chronicles often tell. I think it's always fascinating, and it's a talent that I personally admire greatly, and it's always a delight when it becomes.
Well, Coleshaw is a star. I mean, his Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart is just it's like that. It's indistinguishable from magic, as the pirate captain says in the Pirate Planet. I listened to it's to the extent that I was half listening to some podcast or documentary about the Trout and Pertwee years some time ago, and I could hear this clip, and I thought it was Coleshaw, and it was actually Nicholas Courtney. It was an actual scene from the invasion. I thought, oh my god, you're getting a chicken and egg thing here, because he's so close. It is astonishing.
Nicholas Courtney almost got the voice right.
Pardon?
Nicholas Courtney almost got the voice right. Not quite as good as John Courtney.
He was almost as good as John Coleshaw. Yeah, I know. Yes, well done, Nick.
So, Dom, another interesting thing about this set was that one of the Companion Chronicles, one of the companions, was a recast companion in Lauren Cornelius. Had that been done before?
That to my knowledge, I mean, I do not believe Dodo featured extensively in any Companion Chronicle before this. I know she was involved in at least one, but as the main, no. So this
Jackie Lane was.
Jackie Lane.
Right.
Was Jackie
No,
Lane?
Jackie Lane
not
didn't do
Jackie
any.
Lane.
No.
Oh, right.
Lauren was in.
Lauren had done another.
She was in
Companion
an
Chronicle.
early
Yeah.
adventure.
Yeah.
Previously.
I don't think Jackie Lane did
before
it.
Stephen came
Well,
along.
She did the Secrets of Death's End, didn't she? Was that a Companion
That's right.
Chronicle?
Yeah. No, that
It
wasn't.
was more of
a.
it was more of a full cast.
Yeah, that was an. I think that was an early
adventure.
adventure sort. Yeah.
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah. But no,
This was her first Companion Chronicle.
Yeah. And of course, Jackie Lane hadn't done Companion Chronicles, so this was the big chance to bring Dodo into the Companion Chronicles family, as it were, to give it a bit of a silly pun. But no, I thought that it was a great opportunity to really start giving that much more depth to Dodo through the Companion Chronicles format. And of course, it was a decision that Nick and John Ainsworth undertook to involve Dodo into the big sphere, really. And so we just workshopped a load of potential stories, but of course Chris was the one that won out, and I think that did a very good job of just exploring Dodo, and of course giving that her relationship with both Edith Garrod and the Doctor as well, just that bit more depth, I feel. And I think it did a very good job, much in the same way that the early adventures or the stories that Stephen and Lauren have been working on already. It's kind of like a sort of a spiritual successor to that to them as well. While being perfectly informed.
Well, as I say I noticed I said on the interview that it was the second story that I'd done with Lauren Work, which was actually set in 1947, because the Interesting Incident was set in exactly the same year. But I thought it was a terrific story. Really enjoyed working on that, and enjoyed the sort of the different settings. So you start in London in 1947, and then we're on a spaceship, and then we're at the warehouse at the end, and so it was a wonderful sort of picaresque adventure for the Doctor and Dodo to go on, and then of course the joy of having Lauren, who's just so sort of charismatic and good, similarly to Peter, at being the narrator, and what a wonderful story it was. Interesting. I was just rereading Andrew Marr's History of Modern Britain, and there's all the stuff about the extraordinary bravery of the suffragettes, and the tragic story of Emily Wilding Davison, who threw herself under the King's horse at the Derby. And so to have that, the suffragette story from an angle that we're not used to, because I'd never heard of Edith Garrod before. I didn't know that they were trained in jiu-jitsu in Soho. So there's a fascinating new dimension there. And what a great metaphor the Y Factor sci-fi story was for the importance of having women in the workplace, because that was, without women, that was what had caused the disaster, because the fact that genetic factor being so important. So it worked well on rather like the best Doctor Who stories that have politics in them. It works, as Terence Dix used to say when he was, trying to leaven Barry Lett's tendency to want to have his, Buddhist / ecological sermonizing. Well, Barry, we've got to make sure it's entertaining. It's an adventure story, and so you've got that. So the politics or the messaging is sewn organically into the narrative that delivers on a sort of an adventure sci-fi level, but the other stuff is there if you pick up on it, And so it worked very well, like a good Letts and Dix era story, I think,
Rather than a sledgehammer that hits you over the head. Modern Doctor Who.
Best not to be. Well, I wouldn't know about that. Although I was watching Time and the Rani this morning for reasons that must be obvious.
I watched that,
and also was inspired to come along today also because how wonderful it is when you see an actor who's been in something who's so enthusiastic about it. And Kate O'Mara on both the making of documentary and on the commentary just loved playing the Rani. And loved her costume and loved the design of her TARDIS. And it's great, isn't it, when you're a fan of something, and then there's somebody who's been in it is that enthusiastic about it, it gives you an extra level of enthusiasm the next time you watch it, and their performance, that they weren't just thinking, oh, this is some boring silly kids series and I've might pay a bill or two, that she really, really clearly had genuine enthusiasm for it. So it's always nice to hear people in things that you've enjoyed enthusing about it.
I watched Mark the Rani on Sunday.
For
similar reasons.
Oh, lovely.
It was Mark I was talking about. Did I say time?
Yes,
you
did.
Time.
It was Mark. Sorry, no, I haven't put myself through that yet.
I was about to check your temperature, Stephen.
I'm sorry to say it was Time in the Rani that actually stopped me watching Doctor Who for a little while at the time. But Mark of the Rani is a charming piece.
Good. Well, that's what I watched last weekend.
I watched
so no.
Oh, I watched both of them. I've watched Mark and Time of the Rani over the past week.
No, I'm sure I will thoroughly enjoy Kate O'Mara's brilliant Bonnie Langford impression when I do get around to watching it before Saturday.
Oh,
I'm not sure if I can put myself through. I'm not sure if I have never seen Dimensions in Time.
You just must.
I had. I'm not a proper fan unless well, now it's canonical. Now it's in the flashbacks as it was last week. And I had promised myself I'd reached my deathbed without ever watching it, but I think I'm going to have to now, aren't I? Because it's
break your promise.
It's terribly topical.
It is.
I mean, of course, Time in the Rani too, because she's dressed up as Mel. She's pretending to be Mel.
Yeah.
And it makes sense why Mrs. Flood was dressing as all the Doctor's companions in every episode.
Oh,
like people commenting, why is she wearing Romana's outfit? And why should we?
Now we
know why she's obviously had a fetish to dress as Doctor's companions since Mel.
I just love that particular shot where McCoy is getting into these all different outfits, and you just see Kate O'Mara at the back, hand on hip, just looking in this absolutely magnificent power pose that's clearly drawing your attention away from McCoy and straight to her. It is. She was just magnificent,
isn't that? Doesn't she smack his head into the mirror?
Yes. She
in
gives
that
him a
scene,
deck. She decks him around the head.
And there's an outtake where, because of course McCoy is the sort of the past master of physical comedy. He's trying to get all his sort of Chaplin-esque stuff into it, and he really goes for it. And then you can hear the AFM going, Sylvester, you're going to have to do that a little bit more gently now, because we can't break the mirror. And actually, no, that's right. He said when you hit the mirror, it's reflecting the lighting gallery. So he had to be more timid about it.
It's wobbling a bit too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Great stuff and a great story.
Philip, was there anything else that you wanted to ask about Families, the box set that I had missed?
No, I mean, as you can probably tell, I've adored this box set. There's not enough Companion Chronicles coming out. I think it's just one a year now. Is that what we're averaging? I can't remember when the second Doctor one came out. I keep saying we need more Companion Chronicles because I still think they're the most inventive. They're the stuff I love the most. The right length, because they're about an hour. I still think the perfect Doctor Who story now is actually about that 55-minute mark. I think nothing gets dragged that way. I hate the names on box sets. So personally, naming families, I'd get rid of the names.
Well, the funny thing was, somebody sent me a little while after we'd recorded it. Somebody sent me a screenshot of the cover, and I didn't know what it was to start with. Again, it's had my eyes. I don't remember doing something called Families.
Yeah,
because it didn't have the other names on it.
Is that
and then of course I clicked when I saw all the characters. I thought, oh right, that's the umbrella title for the thing. Yes. But we didn't know that when we were doing it.
Because the cover doesn't actually say Companion Chronicles anymore, does it?
Well, it's the same with a lot of the Rangers now. They don't.
Don't anymore.
They don't seem to say the range names anymore. It's just the diamond logo and the name of the box set.
And the title.
The title is
it's
on the
side.
It is a beautiful cover.
Personally, I prefer just Companion Chronicles, but the cover is spectacular. Who's done the cover again?
So that was
Oliver
Chenery. Yeah, Oliver Chenery, who was
beautiful,
fantastic talent.
Lovely. Yeah,
I'd put that up on my wall quite happily.
It's amazing.
So would I. I think I will. I love that cover. I think it's superb.
Beautiful.
How do I get a clean copy of the cover?
Well, Dominic might be able to help there. Who knows? But it's lovely, isn't it, being read a story by a very good narrator, which is what this category does. Just you just sort of can sit back and enjoy being in safe hands, and then the added dimension of having actors doing little bits and pieces as well. So you get the best of both worlds, and with the music, as I say, and the sound design, superb. Yeah,
and don't forget, Philip, my version of The Old Woman in An Unearthly Child is amazing. So you still haven't heard it yet, I'm sure, but it's worth it. Trust me.
Do you try and do an impression of Eileen Way?
I don't try. I do.
Oh my goodness!
I do.
I'll have to check it out.
Apparently, he's just nailed Eileen Way, which is claim to fame. Nailing.
That's what
Eileen
the comments
Way.
said.
Sounds like an interesting
right back,
one.
Apparently.
What's Eileen Way's other Doctor Who claim to fame?
Creature from the Pit. Thank you very much. Very good.
And there's two.
In the movie, she's the old woman in the movie.
Very good.
Dalek Invasion.
She's one of the two.
Invasion,
the old woman in the Hansel and Gretel cottage in the woods in Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD. Yeah.
Now, normally at the end of our podcast, I ask our panel for some recommendations, but on this occasion, I think I'm just going to recommend Families. I think everyone should.
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
The box set Families.
That was another thing that
from all of us, I think.
Yeah, another thing that inspired me today was realizing that I've only seen 2 YouTube reviews of this. One from those
Finish Big.
Finish Big, which who loved it. I was delighted, and there was another one, a chap who unboxes things, and he loved it as well. And he said his 2 great enthusiasms were history and biological science, and so this ticked both boxes for him, and he loved it. And so I thought it needs a bit more plugging,
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're reviewing it, So that's good, because I think it's quite it's a special. Haven't listened to the other two. I'm sure they're marvelous. And
they are.
I will do.
Great too.
Yeah. Those 2 reviews said they were wonderful. So so it's a
well, they're right.
One to get. Yeah.
Well, on that note,
yes, well done,
Stephen
Dom.
Noonan. Stephen Noonan. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you coming
you're welcome.
back on.
It's
been a while
pleasure.
since you've been on the podcast. We need you.
But we will be talking. We will be talking about Terror of the Autons very soon. I promise, because
we'll see about that.
We will. Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll
see.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen. And
Bless
Dom,
you.
really appreciate you coming on to talk about your fandom. It's been fascinating.
Thank you.
I love hearing other fans' stories and their journeys through fandom.
It's the first time I've ever seen him not dressed as a doctor today. Dominic, you haven't come as one of the doctors.
No,
this is your casual.
My casual stuff. Yeah. I'm just like, I'm relaxed today.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you so much, Dom. Anything that you can tell us on the horizon? Is there anything coming from you down the track?
I can just give a knowing smile, and that's about it for now.
I like those knowing smiles. We know what that means. We will stay tuned. Philip, it's always good being in your company for me, so thank you for coming along.
And it's going to be in your company too, Dwayne, as always.
Yeah, we sound like the 2 Ronnies or something. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you all next time.
It's good night from both of you. Yes. Very good. See you later.
Bye now.
This has been The Sirens of Audio, reviewing Doctor Who, The Companion Chronicles, Families, with our guests Dominic G. Martin and Stephen Noonan, with your hosts Philip Edney and Dwayne Bunny. Theme music by Joe Kramer. Catch up with all the latest info, including news on our live events, at sirensofaudio.com. Got some feedback? Send your email to sirensofaudio@gmail.com or find us on all our social media at Audio Sirens. Thanks for listening, audiophiles. We'll hear you next time.